Welcome to our next video lesson. This one is on traditional division. So go ahead and get your notes page set up. I would start a brand new page for each lesson. Start with your title up top, Traditional Division. Then add your learning target, 6NS2, fluently divide multi-digit numbers using the traditional algorithm. And then our I can statement. I can divide whole numbers by single and double digit divisors. When you're ready with that information, go ahead and hit play and we'll get started with the rest of the lesson.
Okay, after all that comes vocabulary. Today, we just want you to write a couple of things down. Quotient means to divide. When we did multiplication, we had a lot of examples that we wanted to highlight that multiplication meant in directions or different programs that you see. Right now, we just want to highlight that quotient means to divide. And then if you could write down this example, 63 divided by 7 is 9. We're going to add 3 more vocabulary words to the sample. Again, we're going to start with quotient. The answer to a division problem is quotient. So in this example, 9 is the quotient. Then we're going to move to the left. The number on the outside of the division bar is called the divisor, what you are dividing by. And on the inside, the dividend is a number that is being divided. It's very easy to confuse divisor and dividend. Divisor is what you are dividing by.
All right, let's go ahead and do some dividing now. There are kind of 4 steps in our process for traditional division. We call it divide, multiply, subtract, and then bring down. And then we're just going to kind of repeat those steps over and over. So a handy way to remember it is the saying, does McDonald's sell burgers? DMSB for each of the 4 steps in the division problem. But jot those down in your notes, and then let's go ahead and try these first couple of examples. Mrs. King will get us started with the first one.
Okay, 984 divided by 6. We're going to ask ourselves, how many times does 6 go into 9? The answer is 1 and should be placed directly above the 9. 1 times 6 is 6, which should go directly below the 9, and subtract. 9 minus 6 is 3. Last step is to bring down that 8. And we start the process over again. How many times does 6 go into 38? Well, the closest I can get is 6 times. Then I'm going to multiply. 6 times 6 is 36. And subtract. 38 minus 36 is 2. Bring down the 4. How many times does 6 go into 24? The answer is 4. 6 times 4 is 24. And subtract. You should have nothing left. They should work out nicely today. We will deal with remainders in our next lesson.
All right, let's try the next one. 2,332 divided by 4. So again, our first step is to divide. How many times does 4 go into 2? Obviously, 4 can't go into 2, so instead of the first digit, we look at the first 2 digits, 23. 4 goes into 23 5 times. That's as close as we can get. Remember to write the 5 all the way over top of the 3 here. Since we're using both digits, we want to line it up there. Then we multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. Next step is to subtract, gives me 3, and then we bring down that next number. This is important to make sure you keep everything lined up. It'll make life much easier if you kind of keep everything kind of flowing in straight lines. Then we repeat, 4 goes into 33 8 times, which gives me 32. Subtract gets 1, and I'm left over, or I bring down that 2, which turns it into a 12. 4 goes into 12 3 times, which is 12. Subtracted again, I get 0 left over. All our problems today are going to end up with 0 left over, and then tomorrow, next week, we'll start discussing how to deal with our decimals.
All right. Are we trying it on our own? No? More?
I would do these together.
Okay. 5,305 divided by 5. So how many times 5 go into 5 is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract, which is 0, bring down the 3. How many times does 5 go into 3? Well, in this case, 5 can't go into 3. There's not enough in that group. So we're going to put a 0 directly above that 3.
So don't just say none, say it goes in 0 times. It helps remind you to write that 0 up in your
and we're
quotient.
going to bring down that next number, put the 0 right next to the 3 and make it 30. And ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 30, which is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. And we're going to subtract, which is 0, bring down that 5. How many times does 5 go into 5? Which is 1. 1 times 5 is 5. We need to be really careful when we have zeros involved in our answer and make sure that the digits inside the division symbol is equal to our answer, or that our answer kind of makes sense. 5,305 divided by 5 should be about 1,000. So if you have 161, you can ask yourself, that doesn't really make sense. How can I fix it?
All right, now we're going to try one with a double-digit divisor. So now we're going to divide by 16. Same process, sometimes it's just a little bit harder to figure out how many times it can go into a number. So make use of that multiplication table if you have it, or do some scratch work off to the side. So we say, how many times can 16 go into 36? It can go in 2 times. 2 times 16 is 32. Subtract, I get 4, and I bring down the 9. Now, how many times does 16 go into 49? It can actually go in 3 times. 3 times 16 is 48. Subtract again, I get 1, and my last step is to bring down the next number.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And then I repeat. 16 goes into 16 one nice time. Subtract, and I have 0 left over. We brought down all of our numbers, and there's 0 left over, so we are done with the problem.
Okay, now it's your turn to try it on your own. So you're going to press pause, write down this problem, and then go ahead and give it a try before you hit play again and check to see if you're correct.
All right, now that you've tried it on your own, here's our answer. We got an answer of 1,265. The 7 went into the 8 one time, subtracted, brought down our next number, and just continue to repeat through the process. So if your answer doesn't match ours, follow our work, see where your mistake was. Was it a multiplication error? Was it a subtraction error? And try to find where your mistake was so we can catch it for next time. All right, we're all done for today.